storm of controversy for quite some time. We're talking about officer-involved shootings that have catapulted the city of Albuquerque into the national spotlight. This evening, city councilors are clearing the agenda pretty much to hear the public's concerns surrounding APD, and they'll be taking some serious precautions. Matt is in the Newsplex with the details. Hey, Matt.
Good morning once again, Elizabeth. You know, usually a couple dozen people might go to city council meetings here, but tonight is going to be a much different story. Hundreds, maybe even 1,000 people could show up, and the city says it is ready to keep all of them safe. Remember a week ago Sunday when protesters flooded downtown Albuquerque, upset with the dozens of police shootings here in the last few years, and most recently the deadly shooting of James Boyd in the foothills. The protests started out peacefully but ended in tear gas and a few people getting arrested. Now, as for the meeting tonight, the city hopes and is ready for it to stay calm.
We are probably anticipating 500 to 1,000 people. We're not sure exactly what that number will be.
City Councilor Ken Sanchez here says the city has 2 overflow rooms ready to go and a tactical plan in place just in case things get out of control.
We feel it's critically important that the public has an opportunity in a safe environment to voice their concerns and give their opinion.
Now, some of those connected to the protest a week ago are going on Twitter, encouraging others to pack City Hall. More police officers, both in uniform and plain clothing, will be at the meeting tonight, too, just in case. Now, if you plan on going to the meeting, here's what you need to know. It starts at 5 o'clock. It is set to go until 10:30, but Council President Ken Sanchez told us it could go even longer. It'll be in the basement of the Albuquerque-Bernalillo County Government Center. That is downtown. Now, if you want to speak, you do have to sign up ahead of time, or basically from 4 to 6, you will have a 2-minute limit, as do all public comments at council meetings. Liz?
Frustration over the APD shootings is spilling over state lines. Over the weekend, the group Occupy Denver said they were protesting in solidarity with New Mexico protesters. They, too, are protesting James Boyd shooting, the homeless man killed by APD in the foothills. Like APD, Denver police also used pepper spray against some of the demonstrators. Be sure to keep it on KRQE for the very latest on the ongoing demonstrations. You can follow developments both on air and online at krqe.com. Well, you will soon start to notice electronic billboards and bus signs reminding you that it is your job to report child abuse.
Now, Albuquerque's Mayor R.J. Berry talked about all this on Friday at a summit about how to prevent child abuse. The issue, as you know, has been in the spotlight since little Omari Varela died late last year. That's after Albuquerque police say his mom, Cynthia Varela Casals here, kicked him to death. Since then, the police department and CYFD have both been under fire for not doing enough to protect Omari and other kids. So now the mayor is spending $160,000 on the signs and a city worker to be a liaison with CYFD, police, and other agencies. Well, the city of Albuquerque is now facing 2 new lawsuits this morning, all because of more police shootings. One involves Officer Martin Smith shooting and killing Daniel Tillison back in 2012. The shooting was ruled as justified, but the lawsuit says Smith did not have to pull the trigger. It also says APD should have never hired him in the first place because Smith had a, quote, 100% disability rating after getting discharged from the Army. The other lawsuit says Officer Brian Pitzer shouldn't have shot Joaquin Ortega last October on Central because Pitzer says Ortega saw him throw the gun. So the city of Albuquerque has already shelled out almost $30 million in lawsuits from police shootings in just the last 4 years. Well, we told you about one of the officers in the Omari case getting the pink slip last week. Well, now another officer is being disciplined.
The second officer in this case is not fired, but he has been suspended. Last June, APD officers Gil Vigil and Scott McMurrow were looking into the possibility of an accidental 911 call being made. On it, you hear Omari Varela's stepdad, Stephen Casal, seen here, berating and threatening the boy. But despite a dispatcher's insistence, neither officer listened to that 911 call before going to the home.
You guys, you seem like good family, decent family. Just be careful.
The cops actually left After a short investigation, 6 months later, police say Omari was kicked to death by his mother. On Wednesday, Police Chief Gordon Eden informed Officer Vigil in a letter that he was being fired for failing to listen to that 911 call, citing 6 policy violations. Well, now Officer McMurrow has been given a 56-hour suspension for failing to listen to the 911 call. It is not clear why McMurrow wasn't fired like Vigil. Both officers, we know, are expected to appeal the disciplinary decisions. In some other news this morning, turns out the tax burden you face here in New Mexico is not as bad as other states. A national report done by the Tax Foundation says that New Mexicans paid 8.6% of their per capita income in taxes to state and local governments in 2011. That is actually lower than the national average of 9.8%. New Mexico ranks 37th overall in tax burden. New York, just in case you're wondering, ranks number 1. Kids at one Albuquerque school will be returning to cleaner classrooms this morning after the school district gave it a good scrub down to stop a possible outbreak. APS isn't sure exactly what kind of illness they're dealing with at Dolores Gonzalez Elementary, but in a letter sent home last week to parents, we're told about the norovirus and how to protect against it. The norovirus is a highly contagious stomach bug. The district says at least 10 kids called out sick last week.